Hello and welcome back to the Oh My Gosh, You're Glowing podcast. My name is Lindsay Walker, and today we have a very special guest episode. I have been absolutely loving introducing all of my favorite people to you all. And today we have yet another incredible woman gracing her presence on this podcast. So today we have my friend Kristen Lee Mansourian, which she is a postpartum psychosis survivor, author, and founder of the Elysian Retreat in Sedona, which is an intimate gathering space in Sedona for couples, families, and facilitators who want more than just a celebration. Truly, we connected on this beautiful retreat space, and that's where this conversation is going to start because I had reached out to her with some questions. But this woman is so much more than a retreat facilitator and host space. She is a true, just amazing, beautiful gem, and I cannot wait for her to share her story with you. And really, I'm excited to hear more of it as well. So, Kristen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. That was such a beautiful intro. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
I am so excited to have you. Like, truly, we connected and reached out, or I reached out to you because I really wanted to know more about how you created this retreat center and really how it started. I will say, I'll give you guys all a little bit of a hint without too much information. There is an idea percolating in my head that does include a physical space. I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to give in to too many other details. It's really not ready to be birthed and shared. But Kristen was the first person that popped into my mind that has a space that is the only thing I could think of that is quote unquote similar. It is a physical space, but your physical space is so much more than this. So we obviously met through a mastermind that we're both in, and I knew that she was someone I really wanted to connect with. And as we were chatting, she's like, let's just make this into a podcast episode so everyone else can hear it. And I was like, that is the best idea ever. So, really, you guys all get to kind of drop in onto a conversation that maybe would have been had behind closed doors, and all of these golden nuggets she would have dropped without sharing with all of you. So, thank you, Kristen, for being here and just for, yeah, gracing your presence in this space. We're really excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to have this conversation because I really feel like this retreat space has kind of taken a life of its own. It was never my intention to do what I'm doing today with it. And I'm excited to kind of like pull back the curtain so you can see what we've been doing behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's give everyone and even myself a little bit more understanding of how this space came about, because I know that was kind of why you said you're like, wait, there's way more of a story here. So take us back to the very first moment this was even an idea to have a space. What was the original intention? Why did you want to have a more, brick and mortar type of space? What was the initial spark that even had this be a creation in your life?
Yeah, so this actually goes back to 2021. My husband and I have always wanted to have like a physical space. My husband's in real estate. We're always looking at like homes and like investing, and real estate is one of those things that we enjoy investing in. The thing is that we didn't realize how fast it could have happened because during that time we were actually also planning our wedding, and we had no idea that a space was even in our field, right? So how it actually started was that we went to Sedona and brought my mom because she's never been there. I'm from California. My husband and I are both from California. And my mom's actually really spiritual. She's Buddhist and she's just never been to Sedona. So I'm like, you know what? Let's take her there. We actually, I have to share the story because it was just such a magical weekend. My husband and I like got a limo and picked her up from the airport and
Oh
just
my God, that's amazing.
so a limo like pulls up like at Sky Harbor, and my mom's like standing there like with her jaw dropped because she's like, "Who is this?" And like not realizing it's for her. And we open the door and we're like in there, and like we have all these balloons for her. So it was like really such a special moment, and like the way we saw it was like just a way for us to bond, right? To go to Sedona, to celebrate her birthday. And my mom is actually also really into real estate as well. So she was like, let's go look at homes in Sedona. So that's literally what we did for her birthday. We went to Sedona, we did all the touristic stuff, and we also started looking at homes. So that weekend was actually the weekend that we found the home that we purchased, the Elysian Retreat. And everything was so synchronistic because the real estate agent that sold us the house, basically, like she and my mom got along really, really well. They became like best friends even till this day. Like they're still chatting, they're still texting each other. And it's been such a testament to how, like, when you just follow those divine nudges, like what life can bring you. So, anyway, we didn't think we would have a shot at this house, but we put in an offer and we got it. And it was, I think it's the relationship that my mom built with this agent. And honestly, at the time, like my husband and I had no idea how we were going to make it happen. Like it just, I honestly swear it happened just like that. And to be honest with you, my husband at the time was like, I really want an Airbnb. Like that's what I want, right? Like his thing is like, how can we have like a space where we can call in some passive income? Maybe it's not truly passive, but it is something that we don't have to like be there 24/7 and whatnot. Okay, so for me, I have always been someone that just loves to like create something out of nothing. So I'll give you an example. Growing up, I was a nanny to these girls, and we created a lemonade stand, but it just couldn't be a regular lemonade stand. It had to be like we had to donate to charity and an orphanage, and like I think that's something within my human design. Like I'm a line 3 with my conscious sun. So for me, it's all about like disruption and like taking something super ordinary and making it like just different. So when my husband was like, this is going to be an Airbnb, in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is going to be more than an Airbnb.
Like the wheels are already turning. He has no
Exactly.
idea. Every
And
woman ever.
right. So my husband's just like, yeah, like this is gonna be so fun. It's an Airbnb. And so that was what it was in the beginning, right? Like for half a year, it was an Airbnb. It was also the most stressful time of our lives. Like we were planning our wedding. We just bought a house. We were remodeling it. My husband and I definitely got into a lot of arguments and a lot of like disagreements, but it really pushed our relationship to grow faster, right? And for us to like learn from one another. And so the beginning of the Elysian Retreat was an Airbnb. Now, how it became the Elysian Retreat was that we actually had, after we got married, we actually had a couple reach out to us and asked us if it was okay if they got married at our space. And it's interesting because I did not think we were going to go into the wedding industry. I used to be a wedding coordinator in LA, and I was like, oh, like I do not want to do this ever in my life. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a lot. Weddings are super stressful. And so
They're a lot.
they
I had one in 2020 and had to move the whole thing. So, yeah, I hear you on it's a lot.
It is, right? So I just was like, okay, like someone wants to get married at our space, like I guess. And what's really cool is at the time I didn't know that elopements existed, but basically they
Mm.
used the word elopement. They said it's just with a few family members, and I'm like, okay, like it doesn't seem like it's a big party. So we went ahead and did that, and it was just like a magical time for them, and they just loved the space so much. And that's when it like started getting my wheels turning, right? Where I'm like, wow, like this is like such a beautiful space to get married. Not only that, our space is actually blessed by Tibetan monks. So it has like beautiful energy there, unexplainable energy even. And things just started rolling in that direction. And that's actually when I started creating wedding packages, because when my husband and I got married, our pain point was that we would book a venue, but we would have to pay for all these extra things
Hmm.
of the venue. And then it was just this long list of things. And then when you're planning a wedding, it's just not as easeful as it should be, right? I mean, it's your biggest day, one of your biggest days of your life. It's a huge initiation. And then on top of that, you're like juggling like linens and like what color they should be and that stuff. So I was like, let's make it easier for couples because we went through it. And that's when we created our very first package, which was like an all-inclusive package where all rentals were included. The theme was already picked out. So we have 3 different themes that would match 3 different brides. And I really systemized it in a way where it made it easy. Wedding planning was easy. So that's how it started, right? I want to pause there in case you have a question for me.
So, actually, yeah, I'm like, I wanted to wait for the right time, but I would love to know how did your space get blessed by Tibetan monks? Like, I'm just still like, you just like said it and walked away. And I'm like, whoa, wait, how did this happen? What is this? This seems bigger than you made it out to be.
Yeah. So when we were remodeling our place for it to like go live, we were in Sedona. We were living there full time, and these Tibetan monks that were, would you say trained by the Dalai Lama? Anyways, they're Tibetan monks that are mentees or of the Dalai Lama. They were coming in for like a what's the right word? It's like a tour, right? Like they were coming into different states.
Mhm.
And that time they were coming into Sedona to do, I think it was like a 14-day tour. They were sharing their practices and like people were coming together. Anyways, they during one of those practices, they said like we would love to bless homes for a donation. And so that's when my husband and I were like, well, yeah, like come to our home and bless it. Because again, my husband and I are both very spiritual. We really believe in energy. And so we wanted to make sure that our guests that were staying there were fully blessed, that whoever walked through the space can really feel its energy. And honestly, I do think in the power of that. Like a lot of our guests have commented that like there's something about our space that is just so different and they just can't put their finger on it. So
Yeah, energy is unexplainable. So the
yeah.
fact that that is a piece that was like in literally the foundation as you're creating it and building it, I mean, it's no surprise that people are really feeling that. So that's really so cool. And just it feels like more divine timing, like more divine things that were just happening with the creation of this space.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I have to say, share this part too, is that one of the things that I always had a limiting belief on was that like I felt like our place was never like the most luxurious, right? Like I feel like sometimes when it comes to like Airbnbs or renting out a space, like the luxuriousness, if that's even a word, how it looks is really important, right? Like the aesthetic,
Yeah.
the like the structure.
Hmm.
And to be honest with you, I don't think our space is like the most luxurious, but I do say that our space has a lot of soul. And when you look at our testimonials, like I would say that 99% of the time people are saying like there's something about this space that's different. We can really feel the heart of it. So I think I'm called to say this because I think that people often stop themselves in doing something they really want to do because they feel like they're not good enough or like, oh my gosh, like, but do I have this much amount of money to put into it, right? Like it really doesn't matter. It really just matters the intent and the energy behind it.
Wow, I love that. That was really important to point out. That's super beautiful because there is so much of this expectation and it can be very overwhelming. Like I know purchasing a property in any field, whether it's for you to live in or especially investment, it's not always talked about unless you're in those circles. So if you're not necessarily in those circles in that level of awareness, it can feel super intimidating. So for you, yeah, to really point out like, hey, we felt super called to this. This was our intention and everything did fall into place. There are different avenues. That is super important, especially for people to notice the energy behind it because you guys have had such pure intentions behind the property, behind the space. And I love that, one of our mentors shows always says like her clients are the ones that kind of give her the ideas for like certain names of certain programs and things like that. And even for you, it was your couples that came and said like, hey, we want to get married here. I'm sure that is a huge, huge honor for you to have this space and saying like someone loves it enough and feels that energy enough for them to make their biggest stay at that space. That is like the greatest honor you could ever have.
Oh, thank you. I actually didn't even think of it like that until you said that, right? Because for me, like as a recovering perfectionist, I'm always looking at our space like, oh, we can do this and make it even better, right? Like
Right.
for me, I'm always feeling like, oh, I want to serve our couples better. Like we need to be more high level, and that's just always in the back of my mind. So I appreciate you saying that because we often can underestimate, our creations.
100%. And truly, as someone that has so much passion for what you do and what you are creating, I think that's just part of life. It's part of this business where you actually do have your heart and passion so in it. And so you do want to give the best. Do want to put your best foot forward. And there is kind of this balance of how can I serve my clients or my couples for you the best, but then also acknowledging yourself for like, yes, people are feeling what you are offering, what you are giving them, which I think is just this beautiful dance because there are some people that are literally just like, I have the best thing, come see it. And like they don't have the passion, they don't have the heart. They just are running off of the fact that like it's just going to make money behind closed doors and they don't really care about the people that are there. And that energy is felt. You could have the most beautiful place imaginable, but yours is different because of the energy, because of the heart and passion you have behind it, which is really cool. So I want to kind of go back to, and like there was some questions that I had too, like when I was messaging you, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but it is about like acquiring a new place and a new space. And this also goes on just creating a new endeavor, which can be intimidating, which can be scary. So if there is anyone out there that's like, wow, this sounds incredible. I think you're also creating like a new niche, a new space, because you're kind of marrying these two concepts. Airbnb is new-ish, I would say. It's not new, but it's newer. They've been blowing up, I'd say, in the past 5 years for sure. And at the same time, the other thing that's been blowing up is these elopements, the smaller weddings, the more intimate weddings. I do think the era of COVID's kind of like ushered that in. And the
Yeah.
fact that you are bringing those two together is very, very cool. So whether anyone is like, yes, this is super cool, I would love to do something that like something that you're doing, or they just have a desire to bring in a physical space.
Mhm.
And they're like, I've never owned a physical space. I don't even know where to begin. What is your recommendation for where someone could start if they have like zero clue where to begin to buy a property? Like, I know you said you had like this magical connection with the agent, but still, like, where did you even start? Like, where could you direct people?
Yeah. So I can hear my husband's voice like right. There's like two answers to that. There's like the logical side, and then there's like the woo-woo side. So I'm going to touch.
We want both. We want both.
So yeah, I'll talk about both. So I'll start with the logical side first, right? So obviously, in order to acquire a space, I think one has to do their research first in terms of where they want that space. So I know you mentioned that this is something that you've been kind of like birthing in the background or thinking about. So there's a lot of things to think about. There's like day-to-day things that you have to think about to maintain the home. So we have staff, right? We have a cleaning lady, we have a handyman that maintains the house, like because there's so many people coming in and out of it all the time that in order for to make sure that the home is grounded, it could carry the energy that's coming through, it needs to also be well maintained. So you want to make sure that you are in my sense, right? Like close enough where you're able to manage those moving pieces. Again, this is just my opinion because for me, our space is more than just an Airbnb, right? Like let's just say you're just gonna buy an Airbnb and you're not gonna like put any purpose into it. It's literally just going to be a space to be rented out, then yeah, maybe
Mhm.
you can have it like halfway across the world and like you don't really have to care about it too much. But I
Right.
think that because we're relatively close, like we're about 2 hours away, it is a lot easier for us just in case there is a problem that we can go up there and manage that. We do have a very dedicated team that takes care of the property. So also trusting and finding the right people is also really important. And it starts small, right? It literally starts from like one team member to the next. So we started off our OG member, which is our cleaning lady, but I call her like I don't even know how to call her, like our house maven. Like she like literally not just cleans our home, but she just like tells us whenever things are low. She lets us know like, hey, like we need to do this with the property
Mhm.
to be fixed. And then in terms of acquiring a property, we put in a down payment. So having the funds for that. Obviously, you can leverage money, you can borrow money, but it just depends on your risk level, right? Like, would
Right.
you see it as like a way to generate revenue? And are you passionate enough to do that? I think that when it comes to like any physical space, it really is kind of also like an online space, right? It just like depends on how the person operates. Like for me, I've been a coach for many years and I was really familiar with the online space. And then we got our physical space, and then that was like a whole different energy. I would say that it's even more it's like you're more grounded because it's an actual physical space. It's like
Mhm.
the people that are working there, I see them all the time. I'm talking to them all the time. Not to say like a digital space is not the same, but it's very similar and different in the very same time. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much like the logistical side of it. Again, there's like you can even ask ChatGPT and it'll spit out like exactly what you need to do to acquire a property. Now, I like to talk about the woo-woo side because ChatGPT cannot like help you with the woo-woo side, right? Like
Yes.
it's like it's like energetics essentially, right? So when it comes to owning a space that it's like it's so much about energetics. It's so much about calling in a space that's yours. When we met the Elysian Retreat, I sat with it with my husband for about 3 hours. Like I meditated with the space to really ask it, like, how should I design you? What kind of people do you want in your space? Like I really, really was super intentional with my relationship with it because I really do see spaces as like a form of relationship. Like you're really like forming a relationship with the space and like pouring your heart into it. And I think when you come to it with that mindset, that's when all the downloads will come, whether it's like who is going to actually work there, what to create with that space, and etc. So I don't want to go off too much of a spiel on that, but that's essentially, I guess, the logistics and the woo.
No, that's really, really cool and super important because I've heard people say, like, make sure that you are connecting with your space. And I hear about that, but sometimes I hear people say to do that, but I don't always hear necessarily examples of people that are like, I actually did this and it worked. Not in like, oh, I manifested this exact thing, but like, you're saying you felt that a connection, you did connect with this space and it did give you that deeper connection with the physical space that you are calling in. So I think that's super beautiful. And, everyone who's listening to this podcast is very if you're here, you're probably at least a little bit woo because everything that I talk about kind of has the energetic side to it. So I think that's super important that you did blend both. I absolutely love, like, you're super aware of like there is a logistical side. There's multiple ways, like you're saying, to finance, to give a down payment, to borrow money, like whatever you're saying, like the risk tolerance. And that's with anything, even in virtual business. Like, what is your risk tolerance on yourself?
Yeah,
And so it
exactly.
seems like it's very similar going into a physical space. It's just physical assets versus digital assets.
Exactly. And again, it is so true though, like because the thing is whatever you do, the strategy or like the how to is at this time and age is relatively easy. Like you can literally Google, like even before ChatGPT, you can Google like how to do something, how
Right.
to become a millionaire, or you know what I mean? Like all the instructions, so to speak, is already
Hmm.
online, right? There's so many coursework around how to do X, Y, and Z that
Hmm.
proof there's of concept that so many people have done it. But I think the things that are super different and what sets like those things apart is the energetics. It's like, are you a match to what you want? And can you actually like not train your nervous system, but like can you really feel into that it's expansion if you choose to go this route? So I'm a big believer in energy, and I'm a big believer that we have to match the frequency that we're trying to call in.
Mm.
So whoever's listening to this and wants a physical space, including you, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like sitting with that energy first and really calling in that space. And I can guarantee you like that will come up for you. Like the space that you desire will show up. And then it's kind of like what's next after that. And you'll just know.
I love that. So you even said like when you were connecting with the space initially. So when you purchased it, you did not see this as like a retreat wedding space, right? You're saying it was just an Airbnb. But at this point you had already connected with the space. And so there was like a deeper energetic knowing of like who you're wanting to call in. So I would love for you to explain how it felt at the very beginning when it was just an Airbnb, like because you were saying it was a little bit stressful. Now, granted, you were planning wedding, lots of things were going on, versus when you really made the shift to weddings, retreats, more of that event space.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So in the beginning, honestly, like, so again, my husband and I are both very different. We're both partners in this. So he's all about like the finances, like how is this going to make us money? He's very like logical in that way. And I'm more of like the heart of everything and like, why are we doing this? Who are we going to attract and all that stuff. And I think that beautiful balance is what makes us a good team because
Yeah.
he was like gonna be like, dude, anyone can just stay here, right? Like we could just put up price, like it's Airbnb, like people just rent it. And I'm just looking at him like, well, like this is like our space. Like I don't want just anybody to like roll through. And granted, in the beginning, like that was literally how it was for like about a month. because we were just new, right? We were just starting. So there was a lot of trial and error where like there were certain people that came through and I'm like, oh my gosh, never again, right? Like this is not the energy that I want in my space. And so we had to raise our prices or we had to change our
Mhm.
marketing. So that's another thing too about Airbnb that I have done differently. People do it differently. You can go on YouTube and people like tell you like how to get as many bookings as humanly possible, like through an Airbnb channel. And I just do it differently because I don't want like every physical, like whoever and their moms like to stay at my space, right? Like I want to
Mhm.
be very aligned. I knew at the time, even though we weren't doing weddings, that I did want like conscious people that respected our space. I think that was my expectation is like I didn't want partiers. I didn't want people that were gonna just like mess up our space and like leave it and like we have to be clean it up. Because the thing is that like you have to think about that, right? Like people that are renting
Yeah.
space, especially in the Airbnb world, there are so many like partiers and they don't treat your house nice. They just come through it, they make their mess, they do whatever they have to do, and then they leave. And I've really, really set the intention that whoever is coming through our space is going to treat it like their own. And it has become a sanctuary. And I think that is really one of the reasons that sets us really apart from other spaces is that it's very much intended and then it's in our marketing. It's in our listing so that the people that we attract are really those types of people. So in the beginning, it was like that. And then how it moved into like weddings and events was when I just started getting this nudge that like people needed more intimacy in their lives and they needed more intentional gatherings rather than just partying. And what's interesting is that my husband and I kind of fall in like this, we fall into this happy medium of like we're not way too spiritual, like way out there, and we're also not like super 3D. We're kind of like the happy couple medium that we sit where the people that are like interested in spirituality will come to us and they're not like freaked out by the ones that again, I'm not trying to like judge it.
No, there's definitely levels of each one. So I love that you're basically like a grounded spiritual person.
Right. So I hate to even have this conversation because like my intention is not to put anyone down, right? It's really because the thing is that a lot of our couples are basically couples that don't even know they're conscious, but they want to be conscious.
Oh, I got it chills when you said that.
Yeah, so it's like I'm really glad that we are not super woo-woo because we attract the couples that actually really need it, right? Like they actually need our space and they don't even realize it. They come through our space, they get the transformation, and then that's when they have this aha moment of like, oh my gosh, like that was so transformational, right? Because the thing is that I truly believe that's like why we exist is because like we're sometimes we attract like the super, super spiritual couple but most of the time our couples like are like your next door neighbor, right? Like they're not that spirituality is not even in their field. And
Mm.
I think that's like the beauty of it. It's like spirituality doesn't have to look like sound bowls and it doesn't have to look like crystals. It's like the living testament of like what love truly is, like the present moment. And that's what we do at our space essentially.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And you've basically taken the wedding experience into this entire transformation healing experience that they almost didn't even know they were getting or needed or wanted or I mean, I'm just like seeing it's almost like you're these activators, like you and the space, and
Yeah.
you're activating, which oh my gosh, everyone needs on their wedding day because holy cow, like that is some serious energy. And I don't even think people realize how much of a portal that day is, like into the next phase of your life. Like people just think, oh, this is like a fun event and we're just gonna like have all our friends and family and nothing's gonna change. I'm like, I mean, I don't know if I ever really consciously thought about it either way, but it does change. Like things are not the same. And to have for you all to have this space where people actually feel held, where people actually feel like they can have that transformation, whether they're aware of it or not, is just so, so incredible. That's amazing.
Well, here's the thing. Let's look at this like literally from this lens, right? So you're basically joining two families together, right? Not only joining two families together, but you're put into this container where it's a very stressful day and it's also like the best day of your life. And of course, like all these emotions are going to bubble up to the surface, right? I remember our wedding feeling so stressed out because like all of my stuff came up. My people pleasing side came up, right? Because I wanted to make sure all of our guests were satisfied. And then like I think my mother-in-law was like there was just a lot of drama. And of course that shows up, right? Like that's family stuff. That's like
Mhm.
of course I'm marrying into this family and like everyone's freaking out, right? And like no one knows that's what's actually happening, right? Like no one knows it's their stuff that's like boiling up to the surface.
Yeah.
Think about it, that's why there's so much emotion around weddings. And that's also why for me, my mission is to help families move through those and process those emotions like in a healthy way so that they can actually be like, wow, like I'm transformed instead of like after the wedding, they're just drained and they're like, okay, I'm never doing that again.
I feel like the with the intention that you have, and I do want to hear like kind of like if there is any more like tangible things that you do, but it just feels like I can feel the energy that you're holding and that this space is holding, that it is even just like kind of calming the stress levels down. Like it is allowing people. I'm sure things are still going to come up. It's not like, oh, I have this beautiful space now. Like you're ultimately going to have the most peaceful, beautiful wedding. Nothing is ever going to come up. But it's almost like this the space is holding you to the point where the transformation and the transmutation of the energy is allowing and flowing instead of all this like kind of like crunchy energy trying to move through and it kind of like getting stuck along the way. So what do you do to like is there either tangible things or I don't know, I'm imagining things in my own head. So like what do you do? Like what are in these packages that you hold for people besides your intention, besides the energy and like how you set up the space for these couples?
Yeah, for sure. So for us, we actually have calls before with the couples before their big day. So we're not just the venue, right? Like we're actually the space holder for your marriage. So we not only
Wow.
do with the vendor selection, actually with our newest offer with wedding retreats, we actually take care of everything, but we will still hop on calls with you to make sure that you're emotionally like ready for your big day. And a lot of that stuff can come up prior to your wedding day. Actually, it's all coming up prior to it, right? And so we actually hold that space for those couples on these
Mm,
calls. And then that way, like when they're going into their wedding day, it's less stressful. And they're actually more conscious of like, oh, this is coming up because of X, Y, and Z. And
mm,
I think that's how it should be, right? Like I really do think that your wedding day should not be about that like do I have the most beautiful bouquet ever, right? Like it really should be about the love and what is love, like the love between you and your husband or your spouse. And I think no other wedding venue is doing that. Like they
mm.
literally is just renting out their space and people are just renting a space out. But
Yeah, you're like a wedding planner times 1,000, but like you actually have like conscious awareness and you don't stress people out more.
exactly, yeah. And so what I've been really excited about lately, and actually this was born out of my postpartum experience. So just do you mind if I share this story? It's actually really
Please.
important
Yeah.
and it's like part of like the evolution of our space. So before I got pregnant and became a mom, we were doing intimate weddings already, right? Like we were all about that. And we really believed in intentional gatherings. Then I got pregnant and I became a mom and I had like the craziest postpartum journey. I actually had postpartum psychosis. And when I talked to my therapist about what happened, like there was a lot of things that contributed to it. There was a retained placenta, there was like multiple infections. That's like the surface level stuff. But when I talked to my therapist about it, she said that she truly believed that what was also triggered was unresolved childhood trauma. And basically, like becoming a mother was like a huge initiation for me that I had to really look at. And all of my fears of being a mom, all of my fears of being like a leader, just like surface, like bubbled up to the surface, and I had to deal with it, right? And honestly, I really do think that my psychosis was like the best thing that happened to me alongside my daughter because it forced me to slow down to look at these things. During this time, my team completely like took over. Like I was not part of our business at all. I was in my own world, clearly. And that experience actually really taught me that so many families need that healing. So many
Mhm.
families really need just to unwind and to like face their generational trauma, right? And like I was literally just watching a movie on this, but like we live our life sometimes so unconscious of the fact that we need to look at these parts of ourselves, and it comes out sideways. It comes out from, I don't know, a divorce, or it comes out from like I don't know, so like an illness, right? So our space, our newest offering, our family retreats, because I truly believe that after you get married, that there's like still initiations that you have to deal with. And we offer this space for families to actually really look at these things so that they can heal together. So that was actually born from my postpartum journey.
Wow, that's incredible. So, how have the families responded and the couples to this? Because you're also saying like not a lot of them are super conscious or spiritual or not even maybe even aware of like are some of them even aware that coaching is a thing? Like maybe not. So, how are they responding to the space that you're gifting to them?
So it's a very slow change. I would say that, like, yeah, because my target audience aren't like spiritual coaches, right? So they have no idea like what I'm doing behind the scenes, like what I'm like waving my magic wand and creating. So a lot of it on the surface is like family connection, and a lot of it is like, but here's the thing, I'm kind of slowly changing that on my website to attract the right people. But on the surface, it's definitely much more marketable to couples that are getting married. It is behind the scenes, right, that they're getting the transformation. It is like when they're actually getting married with us, when they're actually having retreats with us, that they're actually feeling that transformation. And I think that because we're both in the spiritual world, we're imagining retreats to be like an ayahuasca ceremony. Like it's like, but here's the thing, like we don't need to have huge breakthroughs in order to have a breakthrough, right? Like we can
Yeah.
just gather, like sometimes I feel like I spend time with, I don't know, like my mother-in-law, and I'm already getting like a spiritual like awakening. I don't know
Right?
you've ever like experienced that, but just spending time with a loved one can be like, oh, okay, I needed to learn this today. So we are merely just anchors and supportive of that space for people when they're gathering together. So it's not just a regular family vacation. Like they're actually being held like mirrors. They're like, oh, okay, like this is what I'm working through.
So if someone's coming to you and they're really attracted to your space and like obviously they're feeling the energy, maybe they don't know they're feeling the energy and you're like here to offer this whole transformation to them, do you kind of merge these more traditional traditions, I guess, from weddings into what you are doing? Or is your like they step into your world and it is like completely different? And so like are you just attracting people that are open to that difference? Or, how does that go for them?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I think people are actually already ready for it. So on our website right now, we promote our wedding retreats. I actually just got off a phone with someone this morning who saw our wedding retreat and was like, I want this. I don't see this anywhere else. So we're openly saying, hey, it is a retreat. It's a 4-day, 3-night experience. This is what the itinerary looks like. But again, like I said, it's already so different than a regular wedding that all the other stuff, like all the transformational stuff, I'm not gonna like say it on the landing page, right? Like that's what they experience behind the scenes. Because again, I'm not trying to scare people before they even get to us. So really, they're seeing it as like an extended wedding
Mm.
that's held and contained, and like everything is provided for them.
That's amazing. Like that's a great way to like show them like what it could. I mean, you're essentially like marketing the end goal, like the it's not even the transformation, but you're like marketing the end result, really. Like do you
Yeah.
want to have this in like incredible multi-day wedding experience? No one else is offering this and like you're saying your magic wand is like behind the scenes and really giving them this like incredible activated transformation. So that's super cool.
Yeah, and the thing is that like I I've always been in like industries, or not industries, but like my line of work has always been not um I guess innovative, right? It's like when you think about the wedding space, this is a very innovative thing that I'm doing. It's not like
Yeah.
typical. I don't know why my soul was called to do stuff like this in this lifetime, but for some reason, that's like the only thing that energizes me. Like I cannot just do a wedding, like a regular wedding venue. It does not light me up. I'm always finding ways to like, what's the deeper meaning behind what I'm doing? So I think because my soul has chosen this work, that's also why it like works out the way it does.
Well, that makes sense. I think that's why I've just been like very attracted to you, like energetically. I don't know. I just like keep like showing up in your DMs and I'm like, I don't know, there's like something about you. I think we were even like in one of the mastermind spaces together. But anyways, I think that's so cool. Like you are creating this new niche, like this new category that no one else has done yet, and you're doing it in an intentional way. And I do see just the world and the collective in general like moving towards like creating experiences that are intentional. And I think you're one of the drivers for this. You just happen to be doing it in the wedding industry, which I think is just so cool, so beautiful, and people are obviously feeling it.
Yeah, exactly. The wedding industry, I would say the family system as well. I do think that when you have a really grounded family system, like everything else like works out in your life too, right? Like I don't know what your family dynamic is, but growing up, like I had a really tough childhood and it really prevented me from showing up fully, right? And so when I started really healing my relationship with my parents, I actually went on a retreat with my parents. Like we did a family retreat. That's also why we offer what we offer. Like it's really through lived experience. And that was so transformational for us as a family because I got to see my parents in a different way. Our relationship got better. And I stopped seeing them as like my parents and seeing them really as just like their inner child is also being healed as well.
Wow. I have never gone on an official retreat with my family, although we do have like some just interesting vacations, which we sort of put together ourselves. But I feel like someone maybe needs to like hold the space for us and see what
Yeah,
happens. It would be
it's so
really
true
interesting.
though. It is so true though, because when you're going on a family vacation, if you're not really being held, right? Like
Yeah.
it's really just a family vacation. And we as souls have chosen our family for a very specific reason, right? Like they are really our biggest mirrors. Like, for example, like I will get agitated with my dad, and I'm like, and I'm always asking myself, like, why am I so annoyed by him? Right. And it's like my biggest lesson. My daughter, for example, is like a huge mirror for me. So I really do think within our family systems, it's pointing a light into like what we have to work on constantly.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. I was laughing when you were talking about your dad only because I have a very similar feeling. And my mom's been telling me, like, literally since I was like 2 or 3 years old, she's like, the two of you have literally been arguing since she was two. She's like, I don't know how you argue with a 2-year-old, but apparently, like, and we still, she's like, I just saw them recently. And I don't know, we were just like going back and forth about something. And she's like, I don't get it. I'm 31. She's like, for 30 years, the two of you have literally had the same relationship. I mean, it's nothing bad, but it's just funny.
Yeah.
So, like, to your point, it's like, oh yeah, there's definitely something there. There's like little moments each of us learn every now and then, and it's all good.
You and your dad.
Yeah. It's good fun. It's not like anything crazy where I'm like either one of us are like screaming at each other, but it's like each of us know how to like push each other's buttons like
Yep.
so softly that it's just like this undermining energy that neither one of us really planned on. And it happens every single time. And it's comical at this point. I don't know if he thinks it's comical, but I do. So
Right,
yeah.
exactly. So yeah, this is definitely something I feel like people need that they probably don't even know that they need. We're in a space where we're like with a lot of facilitators, a lot of coaches, and honestly, I think a lot of people become coaches because of their childhood or like something about like why they're doing what they're doing is because of something, right? Like it's through a pain point. And so it's
Mhm.
like, like a lot of people that I've spoken to or leaders or coaches have gone on retreats by themselves or like with another group, but have they ever actually sat with their parents and like looked at their shit together? And that's actually something that people are afraid of and like not very comfortable with.
Yeah. No, I mean, it can be very intimidating and it can be very illuminating. And I think the illumination piece is because I've talked to even some of my clients and they're like, I don't want to, like, I'm afraid of what I might see. And I'm like, well, you came here and I'm assuming like people are coming to you. It's time for the illumination. It's time to like pull back the veil.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really great point of like what you said too, is a lot of people get into any type of self-development work, usually because of their own experiences, because of their past maybe pains or discomforts or things like that. And I love that you are creating this space that is one, it's really alchemizing like the family system and really helping to heal that. But you also have, like you kind of mentioned before, your own story with pregnancy. And so I would love for you to just, share a little bit more about that and how has that shifted your life? How has that shifted your relationship with the retreat space? I'm sure a lot based off of
Oh,
your face. And just kind of share your journey along with this because I know it's like you had mentioned, it's been a lot of your life and how have you now taken this experience and infused it into what you're doing with the retreat space?
yeah, I love that question because motherhood has definitely been like the biggest initiation that I have ever gone through. And I think having postpartum psychosis like really amplified that. I didn't obviously ever think that I would have that. I don't think anyone wishes upon anyone to have that.
Mm.
Psychosis was it was a very hard thing that I went through. I mean, like I had to go inpatient because I was just so far gone. There were days where I literally thought that my husband was drugging our daughter. Like I had that belief so strongly in my mind that like any like little movement that he would do, I was like immediately imagining him like doing something. And I even like research labs where I would take a chunk of my daughter's hair and like I was gonna call them and have them like yeah do whatever they had to do to like find out whether she was drugged or not. Like that's how serious it was. Like when I say like people
Wow.
look at me now and they're like, wow, like I can't believe you went through that. Like how did you make it through that? Honestly, I really don't even know how I went through that. Like it was just very painful. And I was researching that a lot of like people that have gone through psychosis in indigenous like communities, like they see that as like a spiritual awakening. And
Oh,
I
wow.
yeah.
That's an intense spiritual awakening.
Very, very, very intense. And I really think it's just because it's because I haven't looked at any of my shadows before. Like, and what I mean by that is maybe I looked at it like through, let's say, a plant medicine journey, through ayahuasca, like, but I never really ever put in the work to look at my shadows before becoming a mother. And all of that stuff just came up for me. Even like the retained placenta, like I had 0.5 centimeter of retained placenta that was left in me. And when I think of it spiritually, it's basically like me like not wanting to let go of my former life into becoming a mom, right? There was like that 0.5 centimeter of doubt. Um, so
Wow.
yep, exactly. And so I see when I'm looking back on it from like 2020 hindsight, I can see like how so many parts of me resisted this change because there was a big part of me that wanted to be a mother. And then there was a huge part of me that was like, how the hell am I going to be a mom and also lead and like do the things that I love to do? Growing up, like my mom was a stay-at-home mom and she was constantly talking about her dreams, but she never actually pursued them. So I created this story in my head that if I became a mother, that would mean that my dreams would basically die. And that, yeah, so like it, like that was brought up a lot during my psychosis. But I think to answer your question, this all just taught me how important it is to work with your trauma, to unwind a lot of trauma that's stored in the body. So like somatic work, right? Like working within and understanding your body. So that's also like why I want to change things within the Elysian Retreat. Like it's no longer just a space where people gather and are intentional. It's also a place to process emotions, whether that's happy emotions, dark emotions, uncomfortable emotions. I think hanging out with your family can be pretty uncomfortable sometimes, and it could be pretty joyous. So it's like, how do we process those emotions together as a family versus like, this is just a space to gather.
Okay, that like really puts a lot of pieces together as to like how your intention has evolved. And it does seem like since your pregnancy and since all of this has happened, like that has been the bigger shift into these like more deep transformation family retreats where maybe before it just started out as the couples. And basically, it sounds like from your own personal illumination of your own shadows, you were like, whoa, this is actually something that I never really saw and looked at. And you had literally this gold mine sitting next to you of this retreat space of like, hey, awesome, we can just like, plug this in here and, just amplify the transformation you're already giving people.
Exactly. And I also think that is shining a light on the things that maybe we're ashamed of. So obviously our mentor talks a lot about shame slaying. I was really hiding my shame for many, many, many years because I was afraid of what people thought of me. I wasn't very super comfortable in my skin. I almost felt like I always had to like have this facade about me, and still like kind of hiding like behind closed doors, like kind of like I would show parts of me, but like not everything, right? Because I was afraid to be rejected, just like with anyone else. But this experience of going through the psychosis really like showed me like, hey, like, you know what, I'm already brought to my knees. I might as well just accept it and play with that energy. And I do think that people need a space to be held, right? Like they have the coaches, they have the mentors, but like, do they actually can they actually sit in an experience where they feel fully held and be seen in all these raw moments? I think there's not a lot of spaces for that.
Yeah, I feel like it's so interesting. Every single time I interview someone, there's always like an illumination of like a piece of my own life or just like something that's like been percolating. So like especially when you're talking about like motherhood and like having a lot of fears around it, I'm like, this is half the reason I have not become a mom yet. I'm like, that's just kind of I'm putting that over there. So I love to hear like your experience and like you actually walking yourself through it and for you to say like this was actually the best thing that happened to me because I'm also someone that helps people heal their health challenges, but it's like from a place of like, yes, you need support, which it sounds like you gave yourself. I mean, you would not be sitting here talking to me like this if you didn't give yourself the support and the healing that you actually needed to get to this place for you to say out loud, this was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I think so many people have these extreme health challenges that happen in their life. And it's like you can take one path or another. Like you can either heal yourself back to an even, more incredible version of yourself, or like it's going to take you down. And, to see you now, I mean, obviously I didn't know you beforehand, but I can't even imagine like the way that you're speaking and the way that you're bringing this conversation to even just this episode is just showing me how much work that you've done on yourself to the point where you see yourself fully and like look at how much more you can show up for everyone else around you and the spaces that you're actually creating because of that experience that you took yourself through.
Oh yeah, I mean that experience changed everything for me. It forced me to actually look at myself and get help, right? Because again, the old me, not to say I was already like pretty spiritual. I was into personal development. Like I thought that I had it all figured out. I'm like, well, you know what? Like I do a lot of inner work, and this is again another testament that the work is never finished, right? We're always
Right.
constantly on ourselves. It's always a continuous journey. But motherhood and postpartum psychosis actually like took me out in a way where it forced me to have to go through the healing, right? Like it wasn't like an option, like I had to do it or else like there was no other way. And for me, becoming a mother was also a huge opportunity for me to be like, I do not want my daughter to repeat the same mistakes that I saw growing up. I think when you have a child, like your whole priority shifts, everything changes, your purpose is stronger. And so when I look at her now, I'm like, I definitely do not want her to, I want to end that cycle, right? It has to end with me. I do not want her to see that. And so I think that's why I'm really driven with this mission too with the Elysian Retreat, because of the fact that I do think that a lot of families need this. And they don't even realize it, right? And then that's how I sneak in. I'm like, well, here you go. This is what you're experiencing at our space.
I think that's honestly the best way to go about it, though, because you have gone through the experiences you've gone through for a reason to see like what you yourself and what other people have needed or do need going forward. And the people that don't know that they need it, it's because they haven't been through it. Like they don't know what they don't know. And you're sitting here on this gold mine of information and knowledge and awareness of saying, like, I actually know what you need and you have no idea it even exists. So to offer this to them in a way it's not like hiding it necessarily, but it is showing them like this is the path. Like we're going to show you the middle part in a minute, but like you want to get here, like this is where you go. Like this is what I've created for you. And I think that's
Yeah.
like the best form of love for people that you could give to them of creating something that they have no idea that they even needed.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing too. Is like people want to get married, right? Like people are getting married, but they don't know the amount of work that requires to stay in a marriage, to stay
Mhm.
married. And I think that because I'm really passionate about this topic, just because my husband and I have gone through hell and back with our relationship, and constantly working on a relationship so that we can show up as good, like the best type of parents for our daughter. I think that when it comes to getting married, people need to be supported more into like not just getting married, but then like afterwards as well, like staying married, the tools that they need in their relationship. So yeah, it's like very like fairy tale-ish to assume that okay, like I can dress in a white dress and get married and like I will ride off in the sunset. Everything's gonna be beautiful. And I want to remind people that, and again, I don't want people to think that like, okay, you can't celebrate. Obviously, you're celebrating your wedding, your
Mhm.
love. And then alongside of that, there's also like so much healing that can be done when it comes to your wedding day. It's not just about the party.
Right. And but you're putting it in a way where it's not like, there's some people out there that make healing feel like this work that actually feels unfun. It feels just kind of like heavy and like, ugh, like I have to go do more healing. Like it sounds like another chore. Whereas like the way that you're infusing it is like, great, we're going to have this celebration and we're going to kind of infuse this healing in it so that you can celebrate and heal at the same time. It just makes it feel like so much lighter. It makes it actually feel so much more fun. And I know that like even when you bring in that fun, excitement, and joy in your mind and in your psyche when you're doing that, it's actually going to stick more too. Because if you're already resistant to the healing, if it feels like another to-do list, you don't want to do it anyways. So I bet you your version and like your way of bringing these couples and these families through it actually sticks.
Oh yeah, because it's also like a container, right? Like that's also why retreats are so transformational because you're stepping away from the day to day to actually be present in this container and you're having the tools, you're having that transformation. So with our couples, they're coming through with their family and most of them are actually traveling to Sedona. They're not thinking about work, right? Like they're fully present in this moment. We have the guidance and the activities where it deepens that relationship even more with their family. And then when they leave, it's completely transformed and they're just like, wow, like I can't believe just one simple exercise can deepen my relationship with my daughter, right? Because I'm seeing her in a different light. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So how did you design these retreats or experiences? Was it from your postpartum experience, or were these things that you had already developed and already knew about beforehand?
So I knew about them beforehand. So my husband and I used to do a lot of retreats, like, or we would also participate in a lot of retreats, and then we also facilitated retreats. But I would say it deepened more after I became a mom, just because I went through so much healing myself. And I saw the transformation within me that I was like, okay, like other people need to experience this as well. So I definitely feel like postpartum really deepened my purpose, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you became the more embodied version of what you were already offering. I think that's always where people feel that depth when you've walked yourself through it because you can watch it or you can mentally like know about it, but like you're saying, once you walked yourself through it, it just adds a deeper level of embodiment. So I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think what I love about retreats too is that you're being taken away from your day to day, right? So like oftentimes I feel like that's also why I personally love retreats myself. I love events, going to events myself, is that like let's say you're being coached and you have like a weekly therapist, so to speak, right? Like you're
Mhm.
still going back to your home and it's still like let's say chaotic or like it's they're the mundane stuff that you're doing day to day. When you're going on like a wedding retreat or a family retreat, like it's there. If the container is there that you're a part of and you
Mhm.
have any distractions, right? So you're in a way
Right.
kind of forced to go through that experience together to make it to the other side. I make it like it's like a plant medicine journey, but it's not. It's totally it's truly a journey though. It definitely is a journey.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I mean, plant medicine is great when you're called to it, but you don't necessarily need the plant medicine. Like, shoot, like a experience like this, I'm sure the energy is very much felt without even the plant medicine. So what is going forward? Like, what is the vision? Like, what are you creating for the retreat space? Like, what are you working on right now? And like, what's the very near future vision?
Yeah, so right now, so okay, so before my postpartum, I was solely just focused on the space and growing the space. Ever since I became a mom, things have shifted for me where like now I have my physical space and then I have me as a personal brand. So actually how ChatGPT very beautifully said this to me, which is that like I'm basically the voice of my space, I'm the oracle, and then my space is the physical space where transformation happens. So, what's what's new for me, or like what's in my field at this moment is I'm currently running in a contest called Super Mom, which I'm really passionate about because it gives me an opportunity to talk about postpartum and postpartum psychosis. For me, this means so much to me because I do want to reach not only mothers but families to show them like that anyone is immune, or anyone can have bad things happen to them, right? Like I would say like my postpartum psychosis can be looked at as like a terrible thing, and it could also be looked at like the most beautiful thing that happened to me. And I want to shine a light on this because I want more families to know that there's spaces out there that can hold you in these big transitions. So for me, I definitely want to keep sharing my story about my postpartum, but I also want to lead people into my space because my space is actually where all the transformation is happening and where you're being held by our facilitators, including myself. So I think honestly, this is why this happened to me is because I was meant to curate the space even more deeply. But essentially, that's what's been going on with me. And so if you are listening in on this before June 9th, definitely vote for me. I think Lindsay's going to send the link in her show notes, and I'll put it on my profile as well, so that this story can be heard by like a much bigger platform. And so I'm just really excited for that. I want more people to know that it's possible to heal with your family, and it's also possible to heal like shamelessly.
That is a beautiful message. Yes, we will post all of the links for you to vote for her in the show notes. So, yes, if you're listening to this before you said June 9th, right? Yes, make sure to go vote for her so that her message can get out there even more so. This is absolutely beautiful. And I'm just so glad we were able to have this conversation. This podcast recording, by the way, happened like very organically. Like it started with the whole Airbnb conversation, but the whole contest that you're in right now also just like happened to be going on at this time. And like this all very organically just like happened. So I feel like this is just like a very divine time for you to get your message out there and for listeners to hear this. If there's anything that really resonates, one, whether it's, something about her retreat space that you're really connected to, or just her story in general. I love just highlighting people that have walked through their own fire, and you're one of those people who walked through it and it came out and are seeing how it happened for you. So, and I see that as you like really sharing your message even more so that more moms can realize like if there's any inkling or any resonance to what you went through, like that doesn't have to be the end of your life, the end of your journey. Like there is something on the other side. And I just see it happens so often where health is the one of the biggest things that will take your life and just completely transform it if you let it. And it doesn't have to be the worst thing that's ever happened to you. It can be super uncomfortable, 100%. But let me tell you right here, Kristen is a living, walking example of holy cow, from going from postpartum psychosis to this beautiful, radiant woman running this incredible retreat space, transforming lives of families and just really healing on an ancestral level, which is just the most beautiful thing I could ever witness. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on this podcast, for sharing your message, for sharing all of your wisdom. Is there anything else that you would like to share as your parting words to the listeners here today?
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much for having me. I think this has been such an amazing conversation. I love it, like conversations like this where it's just so raw and beautiful, and we could just still like literally be here, like in the present moment, right? I think what I really want to say is whatever season that you are in your life right now, just remember that it's not permanent, right? It's always temporary. Things are always moving. I remember when I was in a very dark season, which was literally just last year, I felt so ashamed, Lindsay. I was like, there is no way that I can lead and do what I'm doing. Like, there were many shameful moments where I'm just like, I think I need to close my business. Like, I do not feel comfortable leading couples when I'm going through such a crisis in my life. And I'm so glad that like my husband was like, okay, why don't we decide this when you're feeling better? Right, and like not make any rash decisions. But again, I love what Lindsay said, because no matter what season that you're in, let's say it's a very dark season in this moment, like you will find a way to make it out, right? Because we are resilient. We are meant to learn the lessons that we're supposed to learn, and we are going to transmute those lessons into beautiful creations.
I love that. That is so, so beautiful. Thank you so much for all of your words of wisdom and your messages and stories and everything that you shared today. Make sure to go follow Kristen on Instagram and her retreat space. I will drop all of the links below. Vote for her for the contest and make sure to give us a rating wherever you listen to your podcast and share this with someone that you really thought of when you were listening to this. Anyone that popped into your mind as you were listening to this conversation, send it over to them so that they can hear it as well. And we can get this podcast episode out there and Kristen's story out to more and more people. That would just mean so much to both of us. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one. So thank you so much, Kristen.
Thank you.